Well, hello there. Welcome to our painting night live. Sorry, I'm a minute late. Perhaps I was just about to get going and hit the live button, and I forgot I had to go grab a water just in case I get thirsty or something. So, welcome everyone. This is going to be a painting night live. I think doing 3 different types of waterfall pours. So I'm excited to show you a whole bunch of different things and hopefully inspire you to give some of these a try. We'll find out what happens. So let me see here. Welcome everyone. We've got a packed house already. So Sharon is here. Welcome, Sharon. Carla, JC, Susan's here. And let's see here. Pat has joined us. Awesome. So fantastic. I'm sure more people will be joining us as we progress through the live. But I've got a whole bunch of stuff laid out here for you to show you all kinds of things. We've got 3 different paintings, like I mentioned. I'm going to be using 2 of the same color palettes for 2 paintings, and I've got a separate color palette for the 3rd painting. And so let's jump into it and go ahead and get started. So I'm going to switch the camera really quickly here. And but by the way, if you have any questions, go ahead and throw them in the comments. Oh, by the way, I forgot my mic. So let me put that on. Wow, it's a crazy live here tonight. So all right, I think we're ready to go. So let's see here. I'm just going to zoom up here and see if there's any questions. Everyone's saying hi to everybody, which is awesome. So that's fantastic. And all right, cool. So LC has joined us. Nancy is here. Fantastic. Donna has popped on. Awesome. Linda. Sweet. LC. Cool. So let's see here. And let's see. So I'm going to flip the camera and then show you the color palette for the first 2 paintings. And let me go over here and flip it over. So the first one I'm going to be doing, we're going to be working on a 2 14 by 18s, and then I've got a long format, a 10 by 20 canvas for the 3rd painting. But this is kind of a complementary palette, and it's also kind of a gradation of value. So I'll show you what I've got going on here. And I've got to put some gloves on, and also I'll take all the tops of my paint off. Just 1 second. Okay, so the first up we have, I mixed more of these 2 colors here. I'll talk about that in a second. I don't know exactly why I mixed all that up, but we have a orange and a blue are kind of the main colors in this color scheme. So it's a complementary color palette. Blue and orange, of course, are complements. And so I'm excited to try this out and see what happens. It's a fun complementary color scheme. I love blue and I love orange. Together they can be tricky, of course, to play with and paint with. But in what we're doing, hopefully we'll get some nice results with not tons of blending or muddy colors or things like that. So the first painting I'm going to be doing is a split cup. So I've got my split cup right here, and it's just a 2-sided split cup. I prefer a very simple split cup like this. Just 2 sides is really all I need. So we're going to be putting the warms over here, the oranges and this light color in one side, and then the cools, the blues and the silver over in the other side. So it should be kind of a fun color palette, a fun painting to try out. And the great thing about a split cup is you can use the complements without getting too much blending or muddy colors. And I'll show you how I mix these up. Most of them are just straight from the tube, but the orange is a little bit different. Come on, glove. And I'll talk about oranges a little bit. So the orange right here, this is mixed up with, it's mostly gold and just a little bit of orange. Orange, I find oranges straight out of the tube are so intense. They are just so bright and kind of overpower everything. So I like to calm them down a little bit. And so I use mostly gold in this one and then a little bit of orange. You can play around with different ways of mixing oranges. This is right down here, this one is a bronze. This is just bronze, Liquitex bronze right out of the tube. This is a great color to mix with orange also to kind of knock it down and get kind of a burnt orange color. There's a lot of different colors you can use to kind of tame this down here. And most oranges I find are just, they're so bright. And I'm sure there are many that are pretty good. There's a few from Golden, I think, that are really, really beautiful oranges. They're not so intense. But most of them are pretty crazy bright. So that's our orange there. That's pretty much the only one I've really custom mixed. And then we have, this is bronze, like I mentioned before, bronze from Liquitex. This right here is white. And it's mostly white, and there's just a touch of gold in here. So it's pretty much only white. So it's a little bit on the warm side, which is kind of cool. And, well, not cool, it's warm. So, but it's a very pretty color. I like that one. And then over on the other side here, we've got a silver, which is just a regular Artist Loft silver. The blue is a beautiful cobalt blue. And it's just from Master's Touch here. And this is actually one of my favorite cobalt blues. There are so many different cobalt blues, but all of the different brands have a different shade of blue. Some are darker, some are lighter. Some are a little bit cooler, some are a little bit warmer, you could say, as far as blues go. But the Master's Touch is actually a very beautiful cobalt blue. I really like it a lot. And cobalt blue is, if you get into the more expensive paints, is a pretty expensive pigment. Like pure cobalt blue is one of the most pricier paints you can buy. But it is a very middle of the road blue. So there's not a lot of red in it. Like ultramarine blue has a lot of red in that blue. Doesn't have any green in it. So it's not like more of a blue green. It's kind of right in the middle. It's really kind of a pure blue, which is kind of why I like it. So it's a very pretty blue. And I really like the value of it. It's kind of right in the middle. It's not too dark. It's not too light. So this particular blue I like quite a bit. And over here, our last color is Payne's Gray. And it's one of my favorites. It's just Liquitex Payne's Gray. And I put just a tiny bit of black in there just to darken it up, just a touch. But it's pretty close to just right out of the tube. So these 6 colors are going to be the colors for our first 2 paintings. And 3 of these will be in one side of our split cup, and 3 of them will be on the other side. So I'm going to move these paints out of the way, and I'll talk about how to layer our split cup first. And these are all mixed up with just Floetrol and paint. So there's just the easy recipe. And let's see here. I'm going to move the canvas aside for a moment. And let's see. And I have this as well. I just mixed up some white and black to make a middle gray color. This is just going to be for a base coat. So I didn't want a white or a black. Just wanted kind of a neutral middle value. So this is what we're going to use for base coats. So let's talk about layering our split cup. Now, there are a lot of ways you could do this. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do first, and then I'll talk about some variations. So what I'm going to do, and I wrote it down, so I want to make sure I don't mess it up. I'm going to take it over here and take a look at it. So the first thing you have to think about is we're doing a straight pour or a ring pour. And of course, you got to think about the last color you want coming out of your cup. That's going to be kind of at the center of a ring pour, or it'll be kind of very prominent in a straight pour. And similar to our waterfall pour, it'll be pretty prominent. So I know I want the orange to come out last. So in this side of the split cup, I'm going to put orange. I want that first. Then I'm going to go right to the dark color. So I have like a mid-value color, and then I have a dark color. And then I'm going to go with my white, my very light color last. And the reason for that is I don't want to put the white in first and then put the orange in, because the white is going to really, blend and mix with the orange and create like a creamsicle color. I kind of want to stay away from that a little bit. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put in the orange, I'm going to put in our dark, then our light, then I'm going to flip back and go to the bronze again, and then end it with the orange. So there's going to be 2 layers of orange, 2 layers of bronze, only 1 layer of our white color. On the other side, I'm going to start with silver, because the silver and the orange are going to kind of mix together some. And so we're going to vary kind of where these colors are in the cup. And then I'm going to put blue in next. And so I want to keep the blue away from the orange a little bit so they don't mix a lot together. There's going to be some mixing. It's going to happen. But if we kind of alter where we put them in the cup, it should help minimize some of that blending together. So I'm going to go with the silver first. I'm going to go with the blue, and then I'm going with the Payne's gray. And the other thing we're going to do here is, so all of these layers are going to kind of correspond to each other. So, orange and silver are kind of next to each other. The bronze and blue are kind of next to each other in the cup. And then we have our lightest light and our darkest dark kind of next to each other in the cup. So hopefully it will be an interesting, split cup. But there are many ways you could do this. I'll talk about a few others. So you could, of course, start with your lights, your lightest light. And so you could just go and make a gradation from light to dark. So this would be white, or lightest light, or middle value, or dark value. Same over here. We could go with our lightest light, which is silver, blue, and then our dark. So that is one way you could do it. You could also reverse it and have our light to dark over here, and you could have dark to light on the other side. So you could kind of flip these around. So you could start with your darks and go dark, middle, and light over here. That would be an interesting combination. You could also start with your darks. So you start with the dark, and then that will be the last thing out of the cup. So now we have kind of a reverse gradation, dark to light. So there's a lot of different ways you can kind of layer your split cup. You could also think about this in a regular, cup as well. Different ways of layering, light to dark, dark to light. You could do it, all kinds of ways. So I just wanted to throw out a few options for when you're layering a split cup. But let's get back to what we're going to be actually doing here. And I'm going to move these aside, and then we'll get to layering, and then we'll do a painting. So let's see, as long as I'm here, I'm going to just start with this side, and I'm going to flip this around. I've got markings right here. So this is a 14 by 18. It might be hard to see, but this is marked for 14 by 18. This is marked for 16 by 20. We need 4 ounces of each side. So 8 ounces total for a 14 by 18. So I've got a line right here. So I'm only going to be doing, again, 2 layers of these colors, and then 1 layer of our dark and our light. So hopefully that'll make sense. I'll kind of walk you through it as we go. So let's start with our cool side first. And again, I have to kind of, eyeball this and just guess at how much I want. So I'm going to put in my silver first. And then I'm going to put in my blue. And then I'm going to put in my Payne's gray. And this will be just 1 layer of the Payne's gray. And I'm, kind of putting it down the side like a floating layer as best you can with the split cup. It can be a little tricky with the split cup. But now I'm going to go back to my blue. So I'm just reversing the order now. And that's pretty good. And then I'm going to end it with the final layer of silver. There we go. And we've got a tiny bit over 4 ounces, but that's okay. So now I'm going to just flip this around here and do the same thing with our warm side. Move these aside here, and I'm going to start again with my orange. Pour some orange in there. Then go to the bronze. There we go. And then our white. And again, one layer of our white color. Back to the bronze. And then end it with our orange. And that's it. So looking pretty good. So I'll move these aside. Actually, I'm going to put the tops on these again really quickly. It's been very warm in my studio. It's really warm in San Diego, as is it like just the rest of the country too. Is pretty warm in a lot of areas. I just don't want these to get like a skin on them. So I'm going to just throw these tops on really quick because we're going to use these colors again. So there we go. Just to keep them nice and fresh for our second painting. All right, so let's move this aside and we'll get on there. And we'll tip our canvas up here. So I'm going to use my just 5.5 ounce cups to prop it up. So I'll do a proper tilt on that and I'll see where it goes. I'm going to flip over to the third camera here so you can get a better shot of the pour. Let me flip that over. Okay. And so let's see here. All right. So hopefully you can see that, and it's going to be in focus. So I got my split cup. Oh, I got a drip on the side. Let me wipe that up. Okay. So we have, let's see here. What did I do? I might have just screwed up the entire flip cup, or a split cup, I mean. We'll see, because I layered down the sides. I layered down this side, and I layered down this side. I might have just wrecked the entire thing, because we're going to be pouring out of the opposite side, so that is probably not a good thing. But let's see what happens. It'll be a good test. I wasn't even thinking about that. When I was layering, I was too busy talking. I should have poured down one side here with where the divider is. You should pour down that side, and then you could pour out of each side. I poured down the sides here. What am I doing? I don't know. But well, let's go ahead and pour it, and then we'll see. It might be a complete mess. And Donna again is reminding me of a base coat, which is super important. So let me put a base coat on. I also have to spritz the back of my canvas. Wow. We're off to a rocky start, everyone. So let's put on a base coat. This is just our middle gray base coat. Thanks for the heads up, Donna. I appreciate that. Okay, here we go. This I spent a long time deciding on this color palette. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was going back and forth, and I spent the morning kind of mixing all these paints up. But hopefully it'll be a cool color scheme. And we have a different color scheme for the third painting, which I think is going to be very cool, I hope. So we'll see what happens. All right. So this could be a complete an utter disaster. But I don't remember ever pouring a split cup, layering it this way, the wrong way. So maybe it'll turn out cool. Who knows? But let's see here. I'm gonna prop up my canvas again. Let me get it in. Are we in the right spot here? Just orienting this. That's pretty good. Okay, there we go. All right, here we go. Moment of truth. Let's see what happens. So it doesn't really matter what side we pour it out of. They're both the same now. So here we go. And I just want to try to get them both out at the same time. Orange came out a little sooner. But, well, so far so good. We're getting rings and interesting pattern. I'm gonna just vary the height of our my cup. You go higher and go lower. And again, you can get these kind of ribbons. You could go and get that kind of ribbon look back and forth, which is kind of an interesting, with the waterfall pour, it can give you a very interesting look. I don't really love it in a straight pour or a ring pour. Well, with the waterfall pour, it can be kind of cool. So paint's coming down to the edge. We're almost done with the cup. I'm going to pull this up and then scooch it forward, and that hopefully wrecking the pour. And then lay it down. Okay, so we're at the end. So I'm gonna just tilt it back and take it away. We're good. We've poured everything out. I'm gonna just dump this in my bucket of water really fast. And the other thing you can do is, if you have a squirt bottle handy, just squirt some water in your cup to keep all that paint from drying out too quickly. It can be very helpful. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at what we've got. I'm going to flip the camera. There we go. Move my little stands aside and slap the top on my gray paint. So here we are. We've got, it's a pretty interesting paint puddle already. Maybe that wasn't such a disaster after all. I really like, we have this interesting line kind of up and down the middle. That's kind of cool. It's going to change as we start stretching it. So let's go ahead and stretch this out and see what we got. And I'm going to just kind of rock it back and forth. And this time I'm going to turn it around and then do the same thing on the other side, on the blue side here. Okay, so we've kind of expanded our paint puddle like normal. I have a lot of the silver over here. I'm going to tilt off of this corner first, I think. I want to keep a lot of that blue in there. So I'm going to tilt off of that side. And as long as I'm down here, I think I'm going to tilt off of this orange side. There we go, and back. So the first thing I'm noticing is we have this line kind of straight down the middle, and I want to probably change that. I don't want just this blue side and this orangey side. I want to get some kind of variation in there at some point. So I'm just noticing that right now. Let's go and pour off of this corner next. There we go. And the final corner, our blue corner. All right, so we've tilted off all of the corners. We've got everything covered. Time to take a look and see what else we want to do. And I'm definitely going to do something. I want to change this composition around. And so far, I like the colors that are happening. I wish we had more orange, but perhaps we can bring out a little more orange with a little more tilting. We'll see. And let's see here. So I think I'm going to tilt off. Actually, I'm going to tilt this off first, this little white corner. I don't love that white corner. So I'm going to tilt that off. I'm going to bring this orange kind of down into the painting a little while I'm tilting to that side. There we go. And I'll tilt that back. I'm liking that better. Now I'm going to tilt some of this off down here, this blue. And that should give us more of a, hopefully a diagonal kind of composition. And so just let the paint kind of move back down here. Yeah, this is looking good. I'll turn it in a second here. Okay, so we've definitely changed it now. We've got rid of that line right down the middle. I like this a whole lot better. Is there anything else I want to do? I might want to tilt a little more off of just this side, this entire side right here. So I'm going to tilt, just hold it straight up and pull some of that blue down. I don't want to lose that orange. I'm going to maybe go this way a little more. So these are just, final touches, and, you can do this to how you like it. And you might see something totally different than what I'm seeing in here. But this is where, your personality kind of comes through, or, your aesthetic. All right, so I'm moving that paint down and tilting it off. And I like that. And then, don't be afraid to tilt, and stretch those rings out. I really like to do that a lot. And I know a lot of people get kind of timid with the tilting part. They don't want to wreck things, but you can really create some very interesting compositions if you kind of take some chances and just go for it and tilt away. So we're getting close here. Okay, I think I'm just about done with this one. I'm going to tilt a little more this way. Oh, excuse me. All right. Well, I think I'm going to call that good. I like a lot of the blue that we have in here. We got this nice orange. I'm happy we were able to keep a nice big section of orange. We've got a dark corner here. I wish that was in here a little more. But all in all, I think it's an interesting painting. Even though, remember, we poured out of the wrong side. I layered the cup totally the wrong way, but it still turned out kind of interesting. So give that a shot if you want to. It's a different look for sure. So, but I kind of like it. So let's see here. Let me flip over and people like the blue, which is cool. And people are not liking, some people don't like the orange. But yeah, so yeah, everyone has different likes and dislikes. So some people don't like orange at all. They hate it. And a lot of women really don't like orange for some reason. I'm not sure exactly why. But I thought I'd play it dangerous tonight. So, all right. So I'm going to get this one out of here and set up for the next painting. So just 1 second. I'm going to turn my sound off quick while I rattle around. So be right back. Sorry about that. Forgot to turn on my mic. Oh my gosh. So anyway, what I was saying is I'll probably, you could scrape up your painting or your paint and collect that afterwards if you want to. And, but we're going to do a diagonal pour now. So I'm going to set up my canvas diagonally so we're going to kind of pour down from one edge to the next, or one corner to another corner. I kind of talked about this in our walkthrough. And I'll show you how I set that up. I kind of talked about that before, but I'll walk you through the whole process again. So one easy way to do this, and again, I have these big hooks on my big hooks on the bottom of my painting, just so you can tilt it very nicely. It gets it up off your table more. But what works great for these are these little bath cups, these little paper bath cups, and you can stack them up and use them as like different heights. You can get different levels going on. So I've already tested this one. So this is going to go under one of our legs. This will be the high point. So I'll put this under here. And then I've got just one of them, which is going to go under right on the same side, and this is going to tilt it down. And then that's really all you need. But it can be a little tippy. Your canvas can, as you can see, it wants to fall back. So you can cut one, and like this is a little small one I cut, just the same type of paper cup. And that's going to be a little prop under our smaller leg there. And so, let's see here. I need to maybe something else to prop that up a little bit more. I'll get there we go. That's pretty good. So what you can do, so this is now on an angle, and I'll show you a trick with the marble where you can test the angle that the paint is going to flow. So this takes a little trial and error, but these cups are great because you can really change the height very easily and quickly. And you can just kind of test around and see what size canvas. They're all going to be different based on the size of canvas and the amount of tilt you want. But just a little trial and error, and you'll get it really fast. So let me flip the camera, and I'll show you our marble test. And oh, here we go. I'm going to move this in the frame a little bit more. There we go. And so I tilted it towards me so I won't lose my marble, but thanks. So here we go. Here's my marble, and I'm going to put it up in this upper corner, and as it rolls, it's rolling not perfectly, but almost right to our corner. You don't have to be perfect with this. That's pretty close. Now it's, let's see here. Oh, I had my cup up a little. Maybe this will be better. Yeah, it's pretty close. It was, one of my cups is sticking in the paint, and it was tilted a little bit. So there we go. So that's the marble test. You can kind of decide you can see where the paint is going to flow. I'm pretty happy with that. So, yeah, and I'm going to start from here and pour from here down, again, towards me. And as we pour, I'll probably let the puddle get all the way to the corner before I take it off. Otherwise, you can kind of, change the direction of the paint puddle, and we just kind of want to control that with our tilting process. So, all right. So it's kind of a fun way to do it. So, and I see lots of marble jokes. So, but it's funny. So yeah, the first time I tried it, I lost my marbles. So this time worked better. So, all right, let's see here. So where's my cup? That is for the other cup. So here's my cup. So for a 14 by 18, we're going to be using 8 ounces of paint layered in our cup here. So this is just a plastic cup. Now, I think I can layer it right here, and you can see what I'm doing. So let's go ahead and I'm going to uncover. Now I got to take this all off again to put my base coat on, but that's okay. I'll set it up quickly. But let's layer our cup first. So I've got my white here, and I've got the Payne's gray. So I think I'll maybe eliminate the orange. So, and I don't know about the bronze. Perhaps I'll eliminate that. So we can just use our white, blue, our beautiful cobalt blue, silver, and our Payne's gray. And this will be a blue pour. I wonder if I have any gold, though. Do I have any gold? I'm just looking at my leftovers. It'd be kind of fun to put a little gold in there. Might have a little bit. There we go. How is this looking? That looks pretty good. So I'll throw a little bit of gold in just for a little something extra. And all right, so let's go ahead and layer our cup. Now again, what do we want to come out last, or last is the first thing we got to put in there. Maybe I want the blue, just to be, I don't usually start with like a mid-value color. It's usually always a light color. But let's go with the blue first. I think that'd be kind of cool. And so maybe this will be kind of a reverse gradation. I'll go with silver next. And then maybe some white. And then maybe our Payne's gray. And I gotta, think about my layers. I don't want too many layers of each color, so probably about 2 layers. Now I'm going to go with our gold, 1 layer of gold, perhaps. And then I'm going to reverse that, I think. So I'm going to go back to the Payne's gray. Or do I want to reverse that? No, I want to go back to my blue. So let's add more blue. And then more silver. And then some more white. And I have more to go here. So maybe I'll end it with our Payne's gray. There we go. Well, that's a pretty cup, I think. It should be a fun pour. So again, now we have to decide. I layered it from this side. Which side am I going to pour it from? I think I'm going to pour it from the layered side, the side we layered. I pour a lot from the opposite side, but for this one, let's go from the layered side and see what happens. So let me pull this off and put my base coat down so Donna doesn't have to remind me again. And here we go. So this is a lot of little technical stuff involved with this type of a pour. So it might not be for everyone. You might not want to kind of mess around with all this stuff, but it can be fun. So here we go. So just a thin layer. And again, this is the easy recipe, just 2 parts Floetrol, 1 part paint for all of these colors. And the next pour, the next demo, I'm using the DecoArt pouring medium. So I'll show you what that looks like. So here we go. Just about got it. Cool. All right, so setting up my setting up my canvas again. I'm gonna flip over to the third camera just so you can make sure when I pour this, you can see what I'm doing. So here's the top, the highest point right here. Here is our second point. I think this is pretty good. And then I got my little stand for my third leg here. So again, we have our angle running this way. So I'm going to pour from up here. So, all right. And let's go for it. So I'm going to, again, pour out of the layered side, and let's see what happens. So just like normal, I'm just going to start. And just kind of run it in a relatively thin stream of paint. This looks like a pretty good angle. It's not too steep. The paint's taking its time running down there, which is good. Because we don't want to lose a bunch of paint off of the corner. I like the way this is looking coming out of here. So I'm just kind of varying the height of the cup a little bit. I'm getting that ribbony, that big thick ribbon, which I'm not thrilled with. I'm going to raise the cup and go with a smaller stream. And we're almost at the end here. So I'm going to just tilt that back and then grab that drip and pull it away. Cool. So there we go. We've reached the bottom corner. I'm going to pull this, just lift the whole canvas up and pull off my little cups here. And there we go. I'm going to just set her back down. And I'm going to go back to the top view. And let's see here. And JC is saying, you don't pop bubbles very often. Why? Well, one reason is I often forget. So I wasn't even thinking about bubbles in the base coat of this one. But I didn't have a lot of bubbles in there. But that's usually, I just pop bubbles with the torch. You could pop them. I don't really like to pop them too much in the paint puddle because they will pop, and then you get these little like pinpricks of color coming through, and they'll pop eventually, probably. But I like to just let them do that on their own. I normally just don't torch the paint puddle. I'm too busy focusing on the tilting process, probably. So there's no good reason, though. So feel free to tilt or feel free to torch away on your base coat or your paint puddle. I find it doesn't really benefit me that often. So that's not a great answer, though, for you, JC. But okay. So let's see. Let's tilt this paint puddle. Now this is a little bit different because we have a big diagonal paint puddle. So I'm going to be tilting more towards the corners than just up and down, back and forth. So let's go ahead and give it a shot. I'm going to just start. It's basically the same type of idea, though. We're going to just expand the paint out. And some of this, just because of the shape of the paint puddle. We're going to lose some paint off of the edges at this stage, but that's okay. So as long as you're down here, we might as well go ahead and pour off of this corner and get the first one out of the way. There we go. So I can just, pour that off, and then it kind of move the paint back towards the center. And then I'm going to pour off of this one next, I think. I'm just going to pour all this off and get it down to that silver. And then move it back. So this gives you a different look just because of the way we started out with the paint puddle. We have a more dynamic composition usually with pouring this way. Even though it takes a little bit of a setup process, we kind of start out with a kind of a very interesting paint puddle direction. So that helps us a lot get a little more dynamic looking painting. There we go. And then back down. And we have this big field of blue, which is, I kind of like it. So we're almost done with our second stage of tilting. I'm going to tilt off of this corner. We've got this little tiny dark right here of Payne's gray, but I'm going to pour that off probably into this center. I don't love this center, and there's too much happening right here. I don't want all of this interest right on the corner. So I'm probably going to pour off a good, oops, I got a big drip there. So now I'm going to definitely pour it off. Pour off about this area right here. So I got to get the paint coming down. Okay, that poured off differently than I thought, but it's okay. I like it, actually. I'll show you in a second. I'm just kind of recentering the paint a little bit. So there we go. We've completed stage 2 of the tilting process, and we've covered everything. It's pretty cool. I like it. Now we can decide if we want to change anything. And let's see here. And we don't have to change anything. Remember, it's not mandatory. I think it would look interesting in this orientation. I want to bring some of these rings down, like all of these little rings in the corner. I like to bring a few of them down into oh, shoot, another drip. So I got to be careful. I want to bring them down into the painting a little more. So I'm just going to see kind of what happens here. And I can get rid of that drip also. So I'm just changing the angle quite often here. Okay, I kind of like that. I'm going to just go back the opposite direction as I usually do. Just recenter that paint a bit. And I quite like that. I'm going to just hold it up. I've got a weird, like, jaggedy line at the bottom that I want to just tilt off and straighten out. I think we did it. There we go. So that's an interesting composition. I've got like a sun spot right there. That's from my window. The sun is coming down. I'll move this aside, so don't mind that. But interesting composition on this one. Quite like it. I love the big field of blue in there. We've got, it's kind of a symmetrical composition because both, quadrants, these two halves of the painting look very similar. Our corners, these two corners look similar, which normally I try to avoid that, but it would be hard. I'd have to really adjust things a lot to pour one of these off or something, but I kind of like the symmetry a little bit. They're not exactly the same, but I just really like this spiraling thing we've got going on there. I think that's kind of cool. So, and I really love these colors that we have in both of these corners. So I think that's an interesting one. That's what you get kind of with that diagonal tilt. And it can be very, very cool. Now you could also change that, tilting it different ways. You could make it, not so just one direction. You could make it, change it in different directions. You could do a lot of different things depending on how you tilt it. But also that's generally how it looks pouring out of the side of the cup you layer from. If we had poured from the opposite side, like I normally do, you'd get a different look as well. But I quite like this one. So that is number 2, pouring from a diagonal. I'm going to move this one out of here and then set up for painting number 3. So I'll be right back, and I promise I will remember to turn my mic on again. So I'll be right back. Okay, I am back, and I think I'm going to take my own advice, and I've got a cup here. I'm going to scoop up all this paint, or a lot of it. It's on my table, And then I'll show you the new color palette. And I just want to, I need a little area so I can work with the third painting. So if you have any questions, go ahead and throw them in the comments while I'm scooping. This will only take a second. But you can use this again. I'll use this as a base coat probably, or a color in another painting. And I like to do this as soon as possible just because it can start to dry and you get little bits of dried paint in there, and then it kind of ruins it. And it makes it unusable almost. So there we go. I think we got it. You don't have to get every little piece. I don't try to get every little last drop, but I got about 80%, 90% of it. So there we go. I'm going to just wipe the edge of my cup, take my little super handy press and seal wrap and stick it on there. And we got it. And Nancy's got a question. Throw this down there. And she's asking, did you make or buy the split cup? I bought this one. Well, it's in my bottle. It's in my bucket of water. But I bought it on Amazon. There's a bunch of them like that. I've got a few of them in my Amazon store. It's a tumbler that has like 2 straws in it and a lid. It's pretty durable. It's plastic. I like it quite a bit, but you can even buy, there's a lot of different types of split cups available now on Amazon. There are some that are silicone, which are a little flexible. They'd be easier to clean. There's a ton of them that are made at home or with a 3D printer. Those, I think, are okay to experiment with. They can be a little expensive. The problem is they will stain severely because of what they're made of. That plastic stains really badly, so you have to wash them out really, really quick. But then they have a tendency to start breaking or cracking apart after several uses. So they're not super, super durable. But I really like those split in the middle tumblers work great for me. So you can find them on Amazon though. They come and go. A lot of the times they get sold out, or so just you could check out my Amazon page and then do some clicking around and see if you can find one. So cool. And JC said she bought a few of them from the Amazon store. Awesome. Yeah, they're much more durable than those 3D printed ones, I think. And I really don't like the ones that have 7 compartments or all those, the really, really big ones. To me, that's just kind of defeats the purpose of what a split cup can do. I really like that you can get like a really dark side, a really light side, or kind of what we did with the complementary colors. I like to keep it pretty simple with the split cup. So, all right. So Carla's off. Have a fun time with your family, Carla. And Susan is saying it would be interesting to have a second cup poured from the opposite side. Compare the 2 pours. Yeah, I poured, from the layering side, and then you could pour it from the other side. Yeah, it's just a different type of a look. Both can look great. I poured from the layered side for, I don't know, hundreds of paintings before I started pouring from the opposite side. And I just kind of liked the results from that side better. But either one worked really, really well. So it's just a personal preference, really. I'd recommend trying them both and seeing what you like. So, okay. Well, let's jump into our third demo. And I got my canvas. I have to just spritz the back to stretch it. But this is a 10 by 20. So I wanted to pour on a long, narrow canvas to show you what that would look like. And I'm not promising anything, but see if we can create that kind of very symmetrical angel wing look. I have yet to do it really well, so I'm not promising anything, but it can be a kind of a cool look. on a long, narrow canvas like this. So I'm going to just spritz my canvas quick. I like to hit the corners and then like one blast up the middle or in the middle. And that'll tighten up in a second. So I'll let that sit there. I've got my my 5-ounce cups. These might not be enough. I might want to raise them up. I'll take, maybe I'll take my bath cups here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. Is that higher? And of course, I got to put the base coat on and all that, blah, blah, blah. So I'll maybe wait with that. I think that'll work really well. I put the big push pins on this one. So see how that works. So let's go over the colors. And I've got my, pull out my little tray here. Uncork them. I mixed, again, I went with Payne's Gray. So I mixed 2 of them because I needed a base coat. So I forgot about the base coat. So I just mixed up another small batch of Payne's Gray. And I'll show you all these in a second. So let me flip the camera here and we'll take a look. Okay, so I'll maybe put them on the canvas. Maybe, but we've got a light blue. This is, let me center this. So this is a very, very light blue. It's mostly white with just a, where are you? With just a tiny bit of the blue-gray. Oh my gosh. Well, shoot. This is a crazy demo night. Oh my God. Well, no big deal. It's not my first time knocking over a cup of paint. So, oh boy. Okay, I have to be more careful. Well, I got the base coat started. So, so here's the first color. It's mostly white, and then just a tiny, tiny drop of the Liquitex blue-gray, which I really like a lot. And again, these are all mixed up with, all these colors are mixed with the DecoArt pouring medium. And so this can be a fun pouring medium, especially if you want to kind of limit cells or minimize cells. So 2 parts DecoArt pouring medium and then 1 part paint. And that's basically it. It's basically the easy formula, only we're substituting the DecoArt for the Floetrol. So that is the medium, and that is the recipe. So next up, I've got, let me wipe this off. I've got this purple color, and this is actually, it's a weird color. It's by Master's Touch, and this is what they call purple. It's a very grayed out purple. I really, really like it a lot. And Liquitex makes like a gray purple. This is actually, let me show you that one. Or they make a purple gray, I should say. Here's the Liquitex purple gray, which is a great color. I use this all the time. This is just kind of like a lighter version. There's more white in this one. It's a beautiful color, and that's what they call purple. So it's just kind of a cool, kind of a weird color, but I like it quite a bit. So there's this in here, that's just purple, the purple from Master's Touch. Next up, we've got a bit of gold right here, and that's just regular gold, I think Liquitex. And I wanted something different in there because these are, oh, this is a cool, this is a warm, but this is much more warm than the purple. And then we've got our Payne's Gray. So those are our colors, and I'm probably going to layer them. How did I decide? The blue, the gold, the purple, and the Payne's Gray, and probably 2 layers of each. And we need about 6.5 ounces in our cup. So probably 2 layers of each to cover our 10 by 20. So let's go ahead and layer our cup up. and see what we got. And then I have some extra Payne's Gray here just for a base coat. And all right, so I'm going to start with our blue. And this is not really, I'm not going for the gradation as much as just kind of pick some colors that I thought would be kind of cool together. So there's our blue. Some gold. And I did want to limit, I didn't want a bunch of metallics just because of the cells. We kind of want to minimize them a little bit. Here's the purple. And the Payne's Gray. And we'll just go back and do one more layer of each color. And just a little Payne's Gray at the end, and we are good to go. All right, so I'm going to just dump the rest of that on here for our base coat. And let me move this aside. I don't trust myself. I probably need a little bit more than that, so pour a little bit more on. Yeah, and JC's asking, I see, JC is asking about the light blue. And the light blue is basically just white with a drop, just a touch of that blue gray from Liquitex. So it's a pretty simple mix. And you have to be kind of careful whenever you're kind of tinting your whites. Go with less paint than you think. You can always add more, but some colors are much stronger with the tinting. So it just takes just a speck and you'll really tint it quite a bit. Some colors you need to put in a lot more to tint it. But the blue-gray just took just a very small drop. Okay, there we go. I think I pretty much got it. Here, oh gosh. What kind of an even coat? Like if we're going for like a real symmetrical painting, you want to kind of make it pretty even. And I'm doing like a final long stroke here down the center to, to kind of even it out. There we go. So I don't have a lot of bumps in the road, so to speak. There we go. And so there we are. And then JC's asking, how do you get it to look blue with that color of blue-gray? That's just the way it comes out. Where did the blue-gray go? So it's, this blue-gray and just a drop of that and white, and that's what it will make. So you got to, I mean, you get very familiar with the colors once you start mixing more colors, custom colors yourself. And you never quite know exactly what it's going to be, but I've mixed this up before, and it makes a very pretty, kind of mild, very light blue. So it's just trial and error with the mixing. And all right, let's go ahead and I'm going to flip the camera so I can kind of see what I'm doing here. And I'm going to, oh my gosh, that light is terrible. I'm going to have to go do something about that. Let me prop up my canvas. That looks pretty good. Okay, I'll be right back. I gotta mess with the light quickly. Okay. And here we go. So I've got my base coat on. It's mostly smooth, running in this long direction. We've got our cup of paint. And here's the layered side. And this time I'll pour out of the opposite side. You can kind of get an idea for the difference between those two. So I'm going to turn it. And here's our opposite side. I'll pour out of that one. 6.5 ounces of paint. Let's go ahead and get started. So again, a nice small stream, and just let it roll on down the canvas. I might have to tilt this a little higher here. It's not moving as much, as I want. I'm just going to hold it up. Hopefully I won't. There we go. There's an advantage to holding it, is you can change it really quickly. I think we're rolling pretty good now. That's a long way to go for the paint. So I'm getting to the end of my cup here. So I'm just going to set it down. Ooh, grab the drip and then pull it off. Now I'm going to let that roll down there a little bit more. Okay. So it looks interesting, kind of a weird looking paint puddle just because I was all over the place pouring it. But let me flip it back over to the top. And I really like this dynamic, really bright gold and white thing we've got going on there. But let's see here. So it's pretty interesting. Now we have to tilt this sucker. And we don't really have a great looking like wing pour. So we didn't really accomplish that look. So I'm just going to tilt it like normal, and we'll see what we get. So I'm not going to try for symmetrical. It's just so hard to keep anything symmetrical. So we'll just kind of expand the paint and see what happens. And I'll give it a spin. Go the other way. Yeah, I'm liking that. So I'm going to just pour off this bottom corner first, I think. Let the paint kind of come down there. And there we go. And I'll move over to the other side. And we almost got it. Okay, so we've got the bottom two. Let's go up and I'll just kind of move that paint down. And we'll do the other two sides. I see Susan is asking a question about the wing pour. And Susan's asking, is there a specific way to achieve the wing? Normally, what I've seen it done, you would pour out of the side you layered out of, just like we did the last pour. I think you get more of a wing-looking shape that way. So you can give that a shot if you want to give it a try. And then it's a beautiful shape, but then trying to stretch it out is the hard part because it's so hard to keep everything symmetrical. I'm just letting the paint fall down here. But one thing you could try if you wanted to give the wing pour a shot is use less paint, perhaps, in your layered cup. And that way, you won't have to stretch as much, and if at all, really. So if you use less paint, you could kind of pour it down, let it flow down the canvas, and maybe call it a day after that. Maybe do a very gentle, slight tilting. And but you'll be able to maybe keep that wing shape a little more intact. Paint is not one to move down here. It's a long way for the paint to move on these 20-inch canvases. It's kind of a crazy looking painting so far. And the you'll notice if you use the DecoArt pouring medium, it acts a little different than like paints mixed with the Floetrol. You mix them to the same consistency, that slight mound, but the paint can move a little slower, a little like it seems like it's a little stickier. So sorry for the terrible view. Almost there though. Okay, so we've got a good section of it done. I kind of like this bottom section here. We could leave that perhaps as a little bit of a negative space. It might be kind of cool. Plus, I don't want to tilt all the way over there. So I think I'm going to do that. So I'm just going to hold it up this way and let that paint run off a little more. It's kind of a fun color scheme. It's bright, kind of a bright, interesting color scheme. So we've got a lot of really sharp rings, or sharp, kind of fine, sharp rings with the DecoArt pouring medium, which is kind of cool. They can get a little wavy with the DecoArt, but I kind of like that look. Like we get some of these really kind of zigzaggy, wavy lines. It can be kind of cool though. So I think I'm going to leave this Payne's Gray corner. Maybe pour a little on there. Should have turned it first. And get my knife and just spread this out and let it kind of flow over the edges. Something like that. And you could touch up the edges. I'll touch them up maybe after we're done here. But that's kind of cool. I would probably do a tiny bit more tilting. I'll just hold it up here. So I'll just let this kind of run down this corner a bit. Maybe if it decides to move. So, but it's an interesting painting. I don't often work on these long canvases, the 10 by 20s or like the 12 by 24. They're popular. I'm just not a huge fan of this format for some reason. I just maybe haven't done enough on them or done enough paintings on them. But I know a lot of people really like them a lot. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So there we go with a long canvas waterfall pour. No luck with the wing pour, but that's kind of what the Deco Art pouring medium looks like. It's a fun pouring medium to work with. It's not really expensive. You can kind of minimize the cells, which is a benefit to it. And you get very sharp lines, which I like a lot. So it's kind of a fun pouring medium if you want to give it a try. And you can get that at Michael's, or I think they sell it at Hobby Lobby also, or online. So, okay, so let me flip back here. And yeah, it's kind of I like this sharp diagonal shooting off the corner there. So kind of fun. And we got a lot of beautiful little subtle grays happening with the blending and the mixing. I'm a big fan of that, as you probably know. So let me flip back and see if there's any questions you have about the waterfall pour, how to set up any of these weird canvas tilts or anything. I'll be happy to answer anything you might have. I'm going to just flip back up here and see if I missed any questions. And let's see. Guess there was a face in there somewhere. So I don't know if it's still there. Apparently not. And JC asked, is higher more blending of colors or just the opposite? Maybe when maybe you're talking about when we're pouring the cup of paint on the canvas. I'd say the higher the cup is, the more blending you'll get in the stream of paint as it comes down. So if you don't want much blending, you could hold it just above the canvas. You'll get minimal blending, if that's what you're talking about, JC. I think that might be what you're talking about. And oh, is there a full moon tonight? Is that why I'm having issues? I'll blame it on the moon. Cool. All right. Thanks for that, JC. Let's see here. Let's see. Any new questions? Oh, and Don is asking, can I explain again why I think I did the first pour incorrectly or wrong? And yeah, so basically, I don't have my split cup. Where is it? Oh, here. Let me grab it quickly. Dump the water out of it. So I'll demonstrate this. And let me flip the camera really quick here, and I'll show you why I did it wrong. And I still think it's wrong. I probably wouldn't do it again. So here is my split cup, and you can see the divider line right here running up and down. Well, what I should have done the correct way, maybe you can see it better like this. I should have poured the paint in from this side right here and right here, layered the cup from here and here, right across from the divider line. I layered it from the sides over here, but that means the layers are not in the proper order when you're pouring out of the cup. So, you know, normally when you layer the cup like this way, you can kind of see the layers. We pour down one side like this, and they kind of form these layers, float on top of each other. And that's, they're just, they like to pour off of that side or the opposite side because they're stacked on top of each other from this side of the cup. So we want to layer our split cup from, like, it's basically the same thing. We want to layer it from one side here and then pour off of either this side or the opposite side. I layered them from this side, which is, they're not stacked on top of each other as neatly. So hopefully that makes sense. It still turned out interesting, but normally I layer the cup from right across the divider line, not over here on this side. So hopefully that makes sense. It all has to do with how the paint layers stack on top of each other. And since they're like falling down one side of the cup, they're stacked very neatly on one side of the cup, but it also works great to pour off the opposite side. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense, Donna. That's a good question, though. But you know, you could always, and that's just my opinion. I usually like it better when I pour off of those two ends. But you know, just like we did tonight, it didn't turn out terrible. So it might be worth experimenting from pouring in opposite sides of the cup if you wanted to. So hopefully, yeah. Okay, good. That makes sense. Cool. Awesome. So, all right, cool. Well, I don't see any other questions right now, but thank you all for joining me. This was a lot of fun. We had some kind of hiccups here and there, but all in all, I think it went pretty well. Hopefully I give you a lot of ideas on how to approach the waterfall pour a little different way, in some different ways. Friday, for our members only demo, I think I'm going to do another waterfall pour using a cloud mix. So that one will be same type of thing, probably maybe a 16 by 20 or something like that, but I'll add a cloud mix to the colors, and we should get some cloud effects in our waterfall. So you can kind of see what that might look like. So that should be a fun painting, a fun demo. And hope you all have a great rest of the week, and hope you can join me on Friday for a demo. And thanks so much for joining me here. Thanks for all the great questions and great comments. I appreciate them. And not laughing too hard with all my screw ups. So I appreciate that a lot. So thank you, everybody. I will talk to you on Friday. Take care.